Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? Yesterday, Demon Flash Mobs got a rework, and I wanted to talk a little bit about them, give a brief overview on what I thought, and tell you about the new rewards. Now, if you don't know what Demon Flash Mobs are, it's a D&D that occurs every 2 hours where you have to fight a mob of demons. So basically what happens is if your chat is unfiltered, you'll get a message 15 minutes before they spawn, saying Zerosian demonic energy is building up, followed by the location where they will spawn, and then 15 minutes later when they actually do spawn, you'll get another message saying that they've spawned in that location. There's 14 different locations for the Demon Flash Mobs to pop up, ranging from the desert to deep wilderness. So after the rework, they added some new rewards in, as well as a rebalancing of the demons in general. The changes that they made were, the Flash Mob boss's health and defense have been reduced, stuns applied by the boss's attacks now last only a third as long, healing applied to the bosses has been halved, bleed effects inflicted by Demon Flash Mobs can now be cleared with the Freedom ability, and bosses no longer cause bonus prayer damage against players using the Protect item prayer. Now I wanted to share my experience with them and let you know what I personally thought firsthand of the changes. After the update, I did about 1 hour of Demon Flash Mobs with some friends of mine. We fought 3 different Flash Mobs within the hour, and they were all located in the wilderness. They kind of work like shooting stars, how one will crash down in one world, but another world hasn't had one land yet, so you can hop around until you find another Flash Mob pretty easily, since there isn't a surge of people going after them. So regarding the first change that was made to the mobs, it says that the Flash Mob boss's health and defense have been reduced. From my experience, the boss itself had 400k health, and honestly it was really hard to hit. Granted that there were only 3 of us fighting this thing, and since it was in the wilderness, we were using lower tier gear like Karil's and a Royal Crossbow, so I'd probably recommend 5 or 6 people to kill it efficiently, and if it's not in the wilderness then bring your best gear, but it was actually a very time consuming fight. It wasn't hard or anything unless you have prayers on of course, which I'll get into in a second, but we had one person tank the boss as the other people did max DPM to it. So as I was saying with prayers, the 5th change that took place was that the Demon Flash Mob bosses no longer cause bonus prayer damage against players using the Protect item prayer. However, I'm not sure if this change actually took place, or if it's a different story with Wilderness Flash Mobs, but whenever I had any prayers on, including the Protect item prayer, I was getting absolutely wrecked. So for now, be careful when fighting Flash Mobs. I'd recommend not using any prayers at all unless you're in the wilderness and someone is trying to PK you. Now, one little tip that I wanted to share is that you can tell what kind of demon you're fighting and what special ability it has by its name. If you right click it, the demon boss will have a long name including a prefix and a suffix. Now the prefix and suffix can be any combination between 14 options. Each name has a different effect, and this will allow you to know what you're up against. For prefixes, there's General, Executioner, Castellan, and Deacon, and for suffixes, there's Blazing, Corrupting, Frostborn, Glorious, Infernal, Obscured, Pestilent, Rending, Shattering, and Terrifying. So make sure that you prepare correctly and uniquely for each Demon Flash Mob that you do. Moving on to the rewards that were added from the rework, there is 14 new titles that you can get as a drop, and you can also get a Demon Claw, which is used to make 3 new Demon Familiars. Before the rework, the only drop that was rare or unique in any way was the Demon Slayer armor, which you can now also get from Calgarian Demons, so needless to say, the Flash Mobs weren't really worth doing. Now the titles are a rare drop, and I've seen them selling anywhere from 10 to 120 mil. I don't know if that's based on rarity or the coolness factor of the title, but they are worth quite a bit at the moment since they're new. All of the titles that you can get are based off of the prefixes and suffixes of the demons' names that I said before. I'm not sure if each Demon Flash Mob has a chance to drop any of the titles, or just the ones that are in that demon's name that you happen to kill. So that would be an interesting piece of information to find out, because let's say you want the Blazing title, and the Demon Flash Mob you find doesn't have the Blazing suffix, then you know you wouldn't get that title from that boss. Hopefully we'll find out more information about that, but for now we're not sure. Now the new familiars which require the Demon Claw are level 82 summoning familiars that have a ranged, magic, and melee version, similar to the Nils. I'm not sure if they're good or not since I haven't tried them out myself, but they all share the same special attack called Ring of Fire, and they are aggressive, so as long as you're in combat they'll continuously attack enemies. Also, the boss yields enough loot for at least 5 players, so if you were in a group like I was with 3 people, the excess loot will be divided amongst your party. So overall, I think the rework brought some life back into Demon Flash Mobs. They definitely needed new unique and rare drops in order for people to want to do them again, since Demon Slayer armor wasn't the greatest, and now there's a lot of it in the game thanks to Calgarian Demons. I like the idea of the titles making them tradable is definitely a good move, since you'll always be able to make some sort of profit, and there will always be a demand for them. As for the rebalancing and changes, I thought that it was a fair fight. It was a little long since we only had 3 people and we're all using lower tier gear. Obviously you shouldn't base anything off of what I did, this is just a quick overview and my feedback from it, but for the 3 that we did, our average time was about 15 minutes per flash mob. I personally think that these shouldn't be something easy to kill, it should definitely be a group-oriented activity so that you and your friends can have some fun and maybe get lucky with a title drop. I'm pretty sure that it's nearly impossible to solo this unless you keep making trips to the bank or your wooks, So they did a pretty good job with the rebalancing of these. Just make sure that you aren't using any prayers, bring your best gear unless you're in the wilderness, and make sure you bring some food because if you're tanking, you will take a little bit of damage. So in my opinion, the demon flash mobs is something that I wouldn't go out of my way to do, but if it popped up when I wasn't doing anything, I'd get my friends together, we'd have some fun, and hopefully we'd grab a title. Anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you learned a little bit more about the demon flash mobs and the rework that took place, and good luck to all of you going after titles. I'll talk to you all in the next one. Later, everyone!